I am Paul Brodie, and
Hey,
thank you once again for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Gail Kraft, author of The Empowering Process. Gail, welcome to the show.
hi, hey, Paul. It's awesome to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Are you ready to get started?
I guess I am. Yes, let's go.
All right, let's do it. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first time author who is currently writing their book?
When it's time to publish, don't do it alone. It is not that easy. Just formatting your book in order to become an ebook is more complicated than you could possibly think. I was so fortunate to have associates who did this for a living that I was able to finally pick up the phone and say, okay, bail me out. How much is it? You publish this for me. It's quite an experience. So writing the book, you think that's hard? That's the easy part, Paul. So, seek advice, seek support. Be sure that you'll have someone who absolutely knows what they're doing and guide you through it.
It's funny you mentioned that. When I do live events, I always ask, what do you feel is the easiest part? What do you feel is the hardest part? And the easiest part I always answer is the writing the book part. That's the easiest part. The hardest,
Absolutely. Yep.
yeah, and the hardest part to me is always doing the editing, the proofing, and then the formatting. So with me, for all my books, I outsource that. I will format my own
Uh-huh.
paperback version, but the Kindle version, no way. I have that done by professionals.
Yes, yes, yes. So totally agree. So those who have writer's block, if they think that's tough, they ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, let's talk about the hardest part now. What do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
That is the formatting,
Mm-hmm.
as you said. When it comes to editing, I have always had someone else edit for me because I'm dyslexic. I love to write, but I see what I think should be there, not what's really there. So I always have an editor ready and able to go through that stuff with me. But formatting to get it so that the book actually appears the way you think it should appear is brutal. So I don't even go there. It's just crazy.
No, I agree. Getting your book edited and outsourcing that's the best thing you can do. It's always good to look it over
Yeah.
yourself if you need to, but yeah, you want to outsource that sucker immediately.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, let's talk about marketing. Please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that worked well.
So marketing, first of all, know your customer. I mean, this is something I harp on when it comes to strategy with any of my customers. Know your avatar. Who are they? Where do they hang out? And can you go there? And then start going. One of the places that I have attended that actually works well for me has been fairs, book fairs, or new age event fairs, because my book is a little bit woo-woo, a little bit new agey. And so that's where my client hangs out, so that's where I'm going to go to publish my book. I use it, or I should say to sell my book, I use it often as well when I do training or events. As, oh, by the way, I happen to have some copies of the book here if you're interested in buying some, or you can go to Amazon.com. And that works as well, too. But I'm typically there at these events to market my services versus the book. So the book is almost like a calling card, if you will. So what is the purpose of your book? Who's your avatar? Be very crystal clear who they are, and then go hang out where they hang out.
And you bring up a great point, especially with having that book as the modern day business card, so to speak. One of the recurring themes in our podcast, especially over the past several weeks, has been utilizing the book for lead generation and also as a warmed up business card, because it really does warm up potential clients, in my view, from a 6 to close to a 10, because it's just so much more powerful giving someone an autographed paperback copy of your book and saying, hey, I can't wait to work with you, versus just a traditional business card. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And, if you think you're going to get rich off of selling a book, yeah, don't go there.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. It's really, unless you're selling thousands and thousands and thousands of books, That's not going to happen, but it really does give you credibility, and it gives you an opportunity to voice who you are, right? And for me, for clients, they get to read the book and go, okay, I want to know more about this. Right? I now know where this woman comes from, or what her thought process is. I want to know more, right? So it really is, you're right, a good lead generator for you to always have a copy with you. Walk around, you go on a trip, you're on the airplane, have a copy with you.
Yep, and I've used that tactic for my Maui trips. When I went back last fall, I took the first Maui book that I wrote with me, and I gave that out to several businesses that already were frequented by people that were on the cruise ships that would come in and would actually have my book with them. And it was so cool to be able to take them an autographed copy, going, "Hey, love your place. I was very happy to recommend it to you," and gave him the books. And in my car, I always have copies of my books, especially the publishing ones, because as you say, you never know who you're going to meet. So it's always great to have something with you, especially when you're meeting a prospective potential client.
Oh, awesome. And people think it's so cool if you autograph their book. They just think it's so awesome. I brought some books to a dance event, right? And actually a gentleman came up and said, I absolutely want to buy this book. My girlfriend would love it. Will you autograph it? I'm like, sure. So you never know.
Well, and not only that, so not only just autographing it, but even putting in the personal inscription, especially for a potential client. Go, hey, I can't wait to work with you. Put your signature and then your phone number below, and it's just there's no better way to warm up a lead, in my view.
No, it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful tool.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So, what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Oh, so many of them. I have a favorite that I actually go back to time and time again. I've been reading this since, probably the 70s. That's how long I've been reading this book. And it's called The Initiation. And what I like about this book, it's a woman's journey, her experience actually in meditating and going to past lives. And she shares her lessons, what she learned from that experience, from life to life to life, that you can take and bring that into your life. So, for example, one of the things that she talks about in the book is understanding, energy and reincarnation. I'm all about energy, by the way. When it comes to what I do for a living, that's all we talk about is, how to direct your energy, how to tap into your energy. Everything is energy. And reincarnation, she explains it so simply. For those of you who don't believe it, think about it for a moment. The way it works is at the time of your passing, the energy of the universe, if you will, is at a certain point. You can call it, the stars are aligned in a certain way. And so there's an energy pull. That energy pull has to exist again for your energy to come back and incarnate in this life. And I've chewed on that for years. And, well, how does that explain this? How does that explain that? And there's so much in that book. It is just chock full. And so I go back every few years and go, okay, let me read it again. What did I miss? Oh, I don't even remember reading this. Wow, let me just explore this a little bit. So it's full of information, full of things to think about, and, all about, who we are, what life's all about, and, why we're here. Curious questions that we all ask at some point in our life.
Well, and this is going to transition perfectly to our final question, and that is, what is your favorite quote and why?
Yeah, this one I can honestly say I don't have a favorite quote, but I do have a favorite, statement or process, if you will, and it's from Tony Robbins. And if you want to make a change, the best way to make a change is to make a state change. Stand up, put your shoulders back, hold your head up, and breathe deep. Try to cry with your head up. You cannot. Try to be depressed with your shoulders back and breathing deep. You cannot. State change your physiology.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I just improved my posture right as you said that. That was great. So,
yeah, I mean, truly, anything that you do with your physical body will change the energy, again, change the energy of your state, and changing the energy of your state changes your energy throughout all dimensions. That's the best way to actually make change.
Absolutely. Well, Gail, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
The best way online, I guess at this point, would be through LinkedIn. Though, no, let me change that. My website is down. It's being refreshed, but it'll be up in a week. Gail Kraft, KRAFT.com. www.gailkraft.com.
Well, Gail, I want to thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Oh, Paul, thank you so much for the opportunity, and you have a very great rest of the day, okay?
All right. Thanks, Gail. Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.